sometimes I could come over that. Cute.
Hey guys, what's going on? So today we're going to share with you a trick that we have learned on how to get your bird back into his cage. And we're going to show you this with Pillow. Now this should work with any small bird. Despite the fact that Pearl has decided to join us today, she flapped over here just a second ago to sit on me. This will not apply with Pearl because we don't ever really have a problem getting Pearl back into her cage. So this just applies to Pillow. So what we use to get Pillow back into his cage is just a simple stick. Now this is technically an extra perch that came with his cage that we don't use. Or maybe it came with Pearl's cage, I don't remember. But it's technically a bird perch that we don't use. And there's actually some tape on this. I think it broke at one point. We taped it back together. This is a jerry-rigged stick. But that just goes to show that any basic stick-like item should work in this case. So the way the process works is very simple. The stick basically indicates to the bird that it's time to go back into the cage. And in theory, when you bring out the stick, you'll put it up in front of your bird and say, "Step up." The bird will step up onto the stick, and you will then transport your bird back to the cage where they will hop in. Now, what we found with Pillow the first time we tried this was that he did not immediately jump onto the stick and get transported neatly back into his cage. He flapped around a bit, he didn't know what was going on, and it took a little practice to help him understand what this process was all about.
I'm Pillow. I don't want to go in the cage.
Now, the most important thing to remember is if your bird flies away from the stick, don't run after the bird, waving the stick, chasing your bird around the house. All that's going to do is scare the bird and make them not want to come anywhere near you. What you need to do is very calmly follow the bird and continually put the stick up in front of them. If he flies away, calmly walk over with the stick, put it up in front of him again, and do this repeatedly until he hops up on the stick. And what'll happen is after a while, your bird will actually start getting tired of continually flying back and forth, and he will give up and hop on the stick.
I'm tired.
Once your bird is on the stick, you transport him into the cage, and it's good at the beginning to always have a treat in the cage so the bird is rewarded and understands that the stick is not a bad thing, but the stick will result in a treat. Now, we've been doing this with Pillow for a long time, and the process now is basically once we bring the stick out, he automatically knows that means it's time to go back into the cage. So Pillow actually hardly ever hops up on the stick anymore. He just flies straight back into the cage and goes inside. And we no longer have a treat in there because now it's just the process. The stick comes out, time to go back in the cage. And I would say about 80% of the time, Pillow goes straight back into his cage within a few seconds. Once in a while, he's a little rebellious. He decides he doesn't want to go back in his cage. So we do have to follow him around with a stick a couple of times until he finally gives up and goes back in the cage. And it's also good to remember, always praise your bird when they do something good. And like I said before, we actually rarely have any trouble getting Pearl back in her cage. Here, step up. Caught on my shirt. She always goes in very calmly. Step up. That's a good girl. And the reason why this is important is because we're very strong believers in the idea that you always need to have control of your birds. This is mostly for safety reasons. If you need to leave the house, if you need to open a door, open a window, if you've got hot things cooking on the stove, you need to be able to get your bird to do what you need it to do when you need it to do it. Hope that came out right. But you should always have control of your bird, so when you need them to go back into the cage, they'll do so readily. So we hope you found this helpful. We hope that this could perhaps work with your own birds and give you a little more control over them if you're struggling with that. And if any of you have any other tips or tricks for getting your bird back in the cage, leave them in the comments below. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. saw it and he knew.